Welcome into another edition of the 615 Sessions podcast. Wow. What a week. So, obviously, there's been a lot of developments that have gone down since last we spoke on Friday. The Titans got their ass kicked by the Eagles. General Manager Jon Robinson got fired. And now they are in a pretty precarious position coming up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, a game that is no sure win. So we're going to talk about that with Joe Rexrode of The Athletic today, and you'll hear that conversation shortly. Also tell you who's been ruled out by the Tennessee Titans organization for this Jags game and what that means moving forward. The 615 Sessions podcast, though, always presented by Two Rivers Ford. In-stock inventory, Escapes, Explorers, F-150s, Edges, whatever you desire, Two Rivers Ford has them on the dealership just in time for the holiday season. And they always make shopping for a new vehicle fast, easy, and fun. You can do it the way that I did, which is custom order your next Ford online, have it delivered right to your door. Fast, easy, simple. It's like ordering a package on Amazon. So smooth. You can go out to the dealership, test drive one for yourself, work with one of your non-commissioned salespeople who are going to put zero pressure on you throughout the course of the car buying process. And of course, you can always give them a call, 1-800-900-1000, and speak to one of the non-commissioned salespeople today. Two Rivers Ford has been doing business since 1983, nearly 40 years with honesty and integrity. Award-winning customer service and quality American-made Ford vehicles. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. So, without a bunch of small talk, let's get to Rex. So he blows up my phone while I'm trying to do live radio. So I figured we'd just put together a podcast so he could bitch at me live. Joe Rexrode of The Athletic and Robby and Rexrode, 6 to 10 a.m., 102.5 The Game is here. It has been a shit show of a week. We are taping this on Thursday afternoon. I'm sure that there will be something that comes out by the time this podcast is over. But in the meantime, Jon Robinson got fired, Joe, and it's lovely to see you.
Nice to see you too. I'm not mad anymore because you completely flip-flopped and changed your position, and now you're like outraged, like everyone else, that Amy Adams Strunk didn't talk. So that was my issue. Well, that and like the headline that of course I sent you, which gosh, what was it, Buck? Clear, correct move to fire Jon Robinson. What was it? Give me the headline. Give me the headline.
Absolutely the correct decision to fire Jon Robinson.
Absolutely the correct decision. I got that on A to Z.
Yep.
And I got our friend Jack Gentry writing a piece for A to Z about how Schefter reported that Amy didn't know about the trade.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Well, I'll send you that one too.
Yeah, please send me that one. I cannot speak for the rest of the contingent there. I can only.
A lot of people thought that though.
That I wrote it?
No. But a lot of people initially with that Schefter thing kind of thought he was. I said that, but then I guess he was hinting it, which he didn't.
No, he implied that she wasn't properly informed about a variety of different decisions.
Right.
Kind of, but he did some weird shit. This is not what we're going to get bogged down in, but like he did some weird shit with Ryan Tannehill's high ankle sprain where he said it's believed to be a high ankle sprain and then just put that out there in the middle of it. So we can debate Schefter on another point. I did not completely flip-flop though, because this is the distinction.
It's quite a flip-flop.
This is it's a slight roll. I don't know if it's a full flip. It's a slight roll. I am on your side because both you and Kaharski text me bitching while I'm trying to do a 3-hour radio show almost by myself. Not quite, but most days. While I'm trying to do a show about how stupid I am for not thinking that anybody wants to hear from Amy Adams Strunk. And I will concede that I have moved my position to no longer believe that most people don't care to hear from Amy beyond the statement that she put out. There is probably, I would say, almost half of people don't care. Like, I just think that is still true. I think that we should care. I think that people should care. I think that we should be able to ask her questions. I don't think anybody gives a shit about what we want, is my point.
Well, that's true. But if you're a person who follows this team and cares about this team, that for me, if I were a fan of this team, yeah, I want to hear the questions about why you fired Jon Robinson. But more importantly than that, by far, for me as a fan, I don't know what the heck. Do you have a plan, or did you just do this?
Yeah.
And what is your plan? And where does Mike Vrabel fit into your plans? And are you hiring a real GM or like all that stuff? So I mean,
all
I
the
think
shit that we peppered Mike, or that you guys did so well to pepper Mike with yesterday. And by the way, a lot of questions that Mike needs to be asked too. And I just felt like him being out there by himself left him out to dry in a way that he's a big boy. He can handle himself. And I thought he did fine. But for the most part, there is what next questions that have to be asked. And beyond that, Amy hasn't talked, really. She's not been a very active participant in the stadium conversation. She sure as shit hasn't talked since Mike Mularkey accused her of violating the Rooney Rule when they hired her. So there's a compounding situation here that I do, the more that I thought about this is why the role occurred, not the flip, but the role occurred as I started to think about the things that have been compounding that we haven't had the opportunity to talk to Amy about beyond the line in a statement. And I would say that I agree. Now, are they banking on most people forgetting about all these different things and hoping that us pissing and moaning about it isn't enough to keep their feet to the fire? Yeah, probably, because I forgot about the Rooney Rule stuff until I, went through the amount of different things that I would like to ask Amy Adams Strunk a question about. But let's keep it with the news, because this is how media people, I think, get distracted from what actually happened. Jon got fired. And this is we couldn't, Lucas and I know Nick Suss at the Tennessean did a good job to go back and research, okay, what is the precedent for something like this? And it's never happened quite in this scenario. There was a Lions general manager that was 7-8 or something like that. That got fired in the middle
Bills.
of Bills general manager
in
that was
2000.
And at the turn of the century. Okay. And that's the last time that something like this has happened. Never a team leading their division, never a team comfortably leading their division with a winning record and likely to finish with 7 consecutive winning seasons, all under this dude who kind of pulled their asses out of the gutter with, other things happening, but was a big part of the reason why they exist in this state today. And I do think it's the right decision because the roster is in a clear state of decay. To do it now, I think, is interesting, but provided the context of the scouting timeline and things like that, if you knew you were going to fire this dude anyway, don't Brian Harsin it, just go.
Okay. So you do think it's absolutely the right decision because the roster's in a state of decay.
I think the roster. Go ahead.
No, okay. We can go through a lot of good football players on this roster who will win a division with this team who are here because of Jon Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my biggest issue is, well, two things. One, you are now saying it's going to get better. I'm finding someone who's going to do this better. Could you find someone who's going to do this better than Jon Robinson did in the 2020 and 2021 drafts? Hell yes. Hell yes. But I'm looking at those drafts, and I'm looking at this last draft, and I'm looking at the draft before those two drafts, and those two drafts were restricted.
Mm-hmm.
No excuse for not handling it better, but they were. And I want to ask you, Buck, are you sure that 5 years from now, had Jon Robinson been allowed to continue doing his job, that those two drafts wouldn't look more and more like exceptions? Because I'm not sure they would.
Well, I think that's a good question because so much of the scouting stuff peaks and valleys anyway, right? Like good general managers have shitty drafts and they have streaks of shitty drafts, right? The reason that I feel that it's the correct decision. No, I don't acknowledge. I do acknowledge that I don't necessarily know that somebody could do this better than Jon right now because it has been a shit show for the last 2 years. And yes, the coaching has gotten the benefit of the doubt for covering up for Robinson's mistakes. But as we've been over, like a literal record set for the number of players used, they're very much on pace to get close to, if not break that again, the 91 players in an NFL season. And no, I don't know that Ryan Cowden, who's been a part of all of these decisions, if not the trigger man on the decisions that end up getting made, while he is well regarded, I don't know that he could do a better job. And I don't know that Mike Vrabel wouldn't overrule him anyway, even if he could do a better job, because now Mike is in a pretty good position where we know he didn't actively lobby for Jon to be fired, but there's no scenario in which this doesn't benefit Mike Vrabel's influence on the organization. I just think that Jon, there are two career arcs for Jon Robinson, right? The point that got them to the 2019 championship game and everything that's happened since. There is no precedent for a global pandemic in the middle of an NFL scouting season, much less everything else that happened, right? But it's not just the draft picks. They have taken substantial swings and missed in a way that there hasn't been enough to make up for the way that they've missed. And I think that part of it cannot be ignored because, Joe, they cannot get anything fucking done offensively. They look awful.
Sure.
And I think that a lot of the moves that have been made around that, the domino effect created, Jon is almost directly responsible for it.
Okay. But the thing is, when you make a move like this, if you're worried about either keeping someone to reward them or firing them to punish them, you're doing it wrong. So again, I'm asking you absolutely the right move. To me, that says, one, you know that he couldn't get out. Yeah, I mean, I agree with all the mistakes. I mean, the A.J. Brown trade, I lost my mind for like a month straight. It was terrible. I mean, look, the Bud Dupree thing looks bad. We know. I'm with you on all the mistakes, on the state of the offense and all these things. But absolutely the right decision means, again, you don't think he can do it. You don't think he's capable of turning it around. And two, that you think they are going to find someone better. I mean, does this mean that you just believe that basically Vrabel is going to have final say or something like that, and that he's going to be better than Robinson?
I think Mike is definitely going to have. I think Mike is whoever the new GM. Mike's not working for the new GM like that. That I very much believe with the way that this has gone down. I don't know that Jon Robinson can't turn around. I bet they could find somebody to do just as good, if not better, of a job as Jon Robinson has done since the 2019 championship game. Is why I think that absolutely is something that can be changed. I absolutely think that's something that can be changed.
So again,
if you're telling me that it's a crapshoot anyway, then yeah, go get somebody else who you aren't tired of their. I don't want to call it excuses because there's, but it just might. Or Joe, it feels like I'm having a Marcus Mariota conversation again, where it's just like, oh, there's so many different reasons why this guy hasn't been able to be successful, and yet they continue to sputter. So at what point does the production or lack thereof, and the production is different in the case of Marcus and in the case of Jon, but I at some point, like, would you not be frustrated as an ownership group watching your team get its back broken in half by the very wide receiver that you traded away not 8 months ago? Of course you would.
Sure. Of course I would be. Again, no question. Again, all the criticisms are fair, and it's fine. You don't like the excuses. I guess I'm trying to, Jon did the Q&A with Ben Arthur, and there was a little bit that had a little bit of excuse making feel to it, right? There have been a couple other times that he's kind of talked through it and been asked some tough questions. He's talked with us, and I don't know. I guess I didn't think it was like excessive. Look, I understand the idea of maybe people pissed off that he was crying in Indy, but I think it was genuine because that was purely someone who knew that they should have been in the Super Bowl. And by the way, Buck, done his job since 2019, fine, but he had the 1 seed last year.
Mm-hmm.
He had the 1 seed last year to win 2 home games to get to the Super Bowl, and I cannot blame Jon Robinson for the Tannehill or Downing aspects of completely shitting the bed in that game. So you're telling me that a year ago, you get to a situation where you're at home to get to the Super Bowl as the 1 seed, and then a couple weeks later, you give a 5-year extension, and now it's all washed away.
Yeah, that's what ownership's telling you.
Well, I know that's what they did.
Yeah,
absolutely the right decision, bud.
Yeah. Okay. Listen.
Okay,
I'm with that. Listen, because I get it. Like he signifies, or he has been a stabilizing force for them in the ways that Vrabel, in a different way, but he has been a stabilizing force for them, the 2 foundational pieces. And I know they had a good working relationship, Mike and Jon, even though I know they disagreed on a lot of critical players. A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, to name 2 in particular that have caused, I think, a substantial amount of this damage. Not just because Julio was a wash, but because you had to restructure Ryan Tannehill's deal. Now he has the biggest cap hit in all of football. You cannot move him next year, even if he was a problem. He's not a problem, but I'm saying even if you wanted to reset, he's got a dead cap hit of $18 million if they try to move him.
The post June 1 is better, is way better than that, right?
It's for sure more palatable, but there are different things that make them more married to Ryan Tannehill than maybe an ownership group wants to be. So I'm I appreciate what you're saying is that it has been good. Can it be better? My particular position with zero interest in the success or failure of the football team is, yeah, but is that enough to keep things status quo? Because that whole crossroads thing that Mike said, like, I don't think that's insignificant. Because I mean, you can tell me how you interpret it. And I know Mike trying to clean it up on Monday morning, but like all I heard was, yeah, we have to figure out whether we're just going to buckle down and have a better attitude and try even better than we think we're capable of being, because we can't do shit else. Like that to me is a huge red flag.
Yeah. Look, again, I'm not here arguing against the state of the team. You bring up Julio, though. I mean, look, the information since makes it very, very easy to go back and Monday morning quarterback that one. I mean, the information at the time was he had been durable his entire career. That last year he had the hammy. He had missed a few games. I loved the move. That to me was, I mean, again, in the moment, I love the move. That was a, you know what, take this offense that scored 31 a game and make it absolute, kerosene. And we know what happened.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You have these moments at times with players like that, and you don't know when they're going to hit that wall, and you hope you got at least a year. And I really thought they would. I thought they would really benefit from that. Again,
no, that's honestly that his most popular decisions, like personnel wise, are the ones that have gone up in flames. Other than AJ, like Clowney was celebrated as they got the thing that was going to help their pass rush in Jeff. Julio was celebrated, and I probably go back and find something that I wrote agreeing with the decision, because I understood it, even if I looked at it like a second and a fourth for that. I felt strongly about the Capitol. But I also acknowledge, okay, like I see what they're trying to do here, even if I think they got. And then I think, the AJ thing, did the AJ thing not, and this is maybe more Monday morning quarterbacking, but does that not seem like a panic decision? Like the way that he got, that he was getting tired of the negotiations, the way that we all knew was going down, and then just say, okay, let me try and get something for this dude in ways that you can't operate like that in today's NFL. Nobody else got peer pressured into moving a player that caused a scene this year. You can debate Kyler Murray, the validity of how that panned out. You can debate Deebo Samuel if you want to. But John's the only one that got in that moment. And frankly, that to me is a fireable offense.
Look again, I agree. No, I think he panicked. I think he blew it. And so, but see, then I'm gonna argue with you. It's like fireable offense. You gotta have the person in there that is the best possible person, which is what Mike Vrabel this offseason is gonna have to ask himself. Not about you didn't do anything to get fired, not about loyalty or anything like that. Is Todd Downing the best person to be the offensive coordinator for the Titans? That's it. And so, absolutely the right decision, Buck, means you have a plan and you have someone who is going to be better than Jon Robinson, because I still think you want to take his career and cut it in half. I'm not sure. Again, I think that this draft class to me helps him when you look at the way things might be turning out with this class. Might be pretty good. And I just this decision, if it's just made because someone committed a fireable offense, or you're angry, or it's just, like or you want, like, it can't be a punishment. It has to be because you have a better plan, and not just we want to reach higher. Okay, but how?
Yeah.
And I just I told you I'm going to send that headline to you. Absolutely the right decision. A couple years when they're 5-12, and we'll have a nice laugh over it.
We will. But my thing is, like, so as far as like a philosophical strategy, and of course we're just speculating on this because Amy isn't talking, so what the hell do we know? But like, I almost look at it as the same way, like the same kind of decision making as the Rams, right? Where you're just like, okay, whatever happens in the future happens, but I'm going to do everything that I can right now. Now the difference is that is a more solid situation than a team on December the 6th, I guess, when they ended up doing the firing with No, I mean, I don't know what they do personnel-wise. I don't know that is Ryan Cowan just going to sign another left tackle for the sake of saying, hey, we got somebody else. The other guy didn't sign somebody. Maybe keep me around next year because I've been trying to interview for these GM jobs and nobody else will hire me. Maybe this will work out. Look, see what I did? And then maybe that guy sucks too because it's December the 8th and there's no good left tackles available beyond Dennis Daly. In fact, I think I said it yesterday on the radio show, like they're probably in the best possible position, God help me, with Dennis Daly, that they would be, because the other two are awful. LaRaven Clark and Dylan Radin isn't even a tackle at this point. He's a non-factor in this discussion. You cannot, it compounds though, right, Joe? Like, that's why I'm saying it's in two parts, because you have 4 picks, Isaiah Wilson, Darrington Evans, Caleb Farley, and Dylan Radins, 4 picks in the top 100 who are complete non-factors for your football team. Just not like, and that's great if you're out here trying to patch it together with 5th-round picks and Terrence Mitchell or whatever you want to do. But that to me does not scream sustainable business model. Now, you're right. The 2022 class looks better, but I don't think we can say that concretely on such a small sample size. These decisions never pan out until like we know for sure what the players are 2 or 3 years down the road, right? Nick Petit-Frere starting is great. Roger McCreary starting is great. Traylon Burks looks like he's got juice, but that's the thing is that's the only juice that they have left. They've left everything else around it barren. And so when he's done or when he's out concussed, they got nothing else offensively.
Sure. Yeah. I want Chig too, by the way. Chig, I think he's going to be a good player. Again, the state of the offense is there's no debate. There's no debating it. And it's been a series of missteps in the offensive line evaluation, and not just draft. So signing, I mean, Kendall Lamb, is just can't do a thing for you. Jamarco Jones can't do a thing for you. So they've had their issues. So that's the thing. There's so much information we don't have. I know there's so much information I don't have about, all that went through Amy's head on this and all of the discussions and evaluations. And if you again, I'm just saying, like, if you're punishing, and when people were like, how could you fire him? He's done this and this and this for your team. Again, I don't think you should keep him because you should reward him either for like this consistent. It's purely about, can he do the job? Just look, if you want to go through the NFL GMs right now or recent past and really dig in on them, like you said earlier, but I mean, really dig in on some of the drafts and signings. The mistakes are plentiful for all. Plentiful for all, okay? I think the hard part here, obviously, is that you changed the expectations. You got to a certain point, you went for it, and then a series of things that were bad. So that's all fair criticism. I'm stunned still. I am, and I do not absolutely think it's the right decision. I think it's probably going to look like a mistake. I don't feel as convicted that this is going to be a mistake the way I was with AJ Brown. That was a lot easier to diagnose that one. But oh man, it's not as easy as just go get another GM. And I think that there, like, a lot of what is in that building, Jon Robinson did that. Jon Robinson laid that foundation, and Jon Robinson, by the way, was a guy who wanted to go get Mike Vrabel and did that too. And that worked out okay. I feel like if you really want to take everything, as long as you're not going to do like you and do like BC and AD or whatever with them, then I think the good way outweighs the bad with Jon Robinson.
BCAD, yeah, it's a little bit of irony that Robinson got malarkeyed when that seemed like a very, very orchestrated situation that saw Mike Vrabel, and by the way, the right orchestrated decision. So we'll see how this goes. But I think,
I complained about that one too. So
malarkey,
fair. Oh yeah.
Oh God, Joe. Oof. What?
They won. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I absolutely. I said the guy won a playoff game, and they were 5-27 before he became your coach.
Nah, but see, that's the thing that I think I fear the most in just general sports like that. That, like, okay, he did well enough, keep him around. Like I love that. And there's 2 parts of this. One, I don't necessarily know how I feel from a practical standpoint about an ownership group behaving like the fan base, because that's why she's not out there. The fan base they're not mad enough. They think they've won, right? They got what they wanted. Like, otherwise she'd be out there probably talking to us They got the vast majority of the feedback that I've gotten, you may feel differently, is that they got what they wanted, which is crazy in and of itself.
Way more than I expected, and it is crazy.
I think. So that's where we are. I also think that there's a tendency. It's shaking things up just for the sake of shaking things up is not a good thing, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Now, if we don't know if that's the strategy or not, because all we have is a statement that says, I think our team can do more. Okay, when? Because I don't think it's this year. But yeah, the whole thing is fascinating to me. What happens if they get beat by the Jags on Sunday? Because I think that's more real than people want to give voice to.
Well, it could definitely happen. I mean, their offense, is going to score. Are they going to have a big day and get to 20? I mean, they can lose any game. Well, if that happens, then certainly half the questions for Vrabel will of course be about the distraction of this week and the role, and every single one of them he will dunk on, whether it's true or not. He will dunk on it, right? I tell you what, if it happens, like they're still. They get the Texans at home, like they're still going to win the division, but it could get like a little bit uncomfortable because then you have the Chargers. I mean, it could get real uncomfortable. I still think ultimately it's very difficult to see the path for them to not win the AFC South, but it cracks the door open. Because Jags, of course, do get them in the finale at home. Mm-hmm. Showdown for the division. Oh my goodness!
They already got
how exciting.
They are. You remember that miserable game we did? What was that? 2017? No, 2017 was the coldest game at Nissan Stadium when Bortles beat them to go to the playoffs. I can't remember exactly.
Bortles beat them.
Well, they lost a game at home to the Jags. No, maybe I'm misremembering.
No, the 17 was when Mariota beat the Jags, Barry Church and the stiff arm and all that. That was very cold.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm thinking of, well, maybe that was for the Titans playoff lives that they had to win that game. Maybe yes. I'm misremembering. Okay.
That's exactly right. I'm the one with the old brain, but come on.
No, I don't know, bud. It's this week makes me feel like my brain is rotting for all the different variations of conversations that I've had to have about this. It is a fairly ridiculous move, but you
but absolutely the right one.
Absolutely the right one. Joe Rexrode, 6 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday on 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, and of course you can read the Mighty Scribe on literally every sport because I don't think they have anybody else doing it at theathletic.com. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, buddy.
That'll do it for us on this Friday. We're going to tell you, though, who is in and out for this game and who is questionable for this game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. A quick reminder, though, Superbook Sports, where you can go to wager on the Titans, the Jags, every NFL game, every NBA, college football, basketball, bowl season ahead. A lot of fun wagering opportunities for you in the Superbook Sports app. They'll match your first bet up to $1,000, win or lose. And the app itself, clean, easy to use, a great tab specifically for Tennessee teams for you to get all the best odds boosts and promo bets on your favorite local sports. So download the Superbook app today. Go to superbook.com for terms and conditions. If you have a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So, let's take a look at this injury report. Out for the Titans, Danico Autry, Trey Avery, C.J. Board, Treylon Burks, Christian Fulton, and David Long. Man, is that defense a mess right now. And, I mean, I honestly assume McCreary is going to play corner on the outside, Mitchell alongside him. I assume they're going to call up somebody like Greg Maben from the practice squad. But, it's shades of 2021 kids, to be certain. Questionable are Jeffrey Simmons, Tier Tart, and Hassan Haskins, who has missed a little bit of time dealing with that hip injury. Now, without C.J. Board and TBD on Hassan Haskins, I have no idea who the returners are for this football team. Robert Woods, maybe again? Oof. I mean, he's better at returning, I guess, than he is at playing wide receiver. He's not been an asset to this football team at this point. And as we move forward with the Jags, Trevor Lawrence at this point is questionable. Chad Muma, their starting linebacker, is out Andre Sisco, the safety, and wide receiver Zay Jones also considered questionable. But for the most part, Jags are working with a lot more parts and pieces than the Titans are. And the Titans, I just consider them to be, at this point, doesn't mean they can't revitalize things if the health of the team ever gets right. But the Titans are a bad football team right now, just objectively bad. The red zone struggles, notable, 0 for 4 in their last 2 games. In red zone attempts, they've gotten 6 points out of 4 red zone trips. That's disgusting. They can't get pressure on the quarterback. Jeff Simmons has been a non-factor. Derrick Henry, because of the poor blocking in front of him and because of a lack of receiving threats, Derrick has been not neutralized, but he's really not been a factor in any meaningful way. And so you're left asking the question, well, what does this football team do well right now? And the answer is, maybe the punter. But even then, like Ryan Stonehouse, Slick has the most return yards against him of any punter in the league this year. Not an ideal situation. So if the Titans lost to the Jags on Sunday at home, I honestly wouldn't be surprised, because this is an eminently beatable football team right now. And I'm not just doing doom and gloom on you, and I'm sorry if you feel that way, but it's kind of tough shit, because this is a roster that's ill-equipped to compete in the way that it needs to. And this is about as important a game as they'll have all season long. It's going to do it for us this week on the 615 Session Podcast. Certainly it'll be an interesting game, and we'll see what is made of it on Sunday afternoon at Nissan Stadium. As always, I'll be out there. We'll be doing Titans pregame radio, and always enjoy you guys coming up and saying hi and chatting for a little while I'm running around doing pregame responsibilities. Have a fantastic weekend, and if I see you at Nissan Stadium, that'll be great. And if not, I'll talk to you next Friday on the 615 Sessions Podcast.